Hello, everyone. How are you? It is so wonderful to have you guys here with me today. I have some very special guests today. I have Kevin and Nancy, and they are the Flower Child. And I absolutely love the name of their company. They are going to come here with us today, and they're going to show us some amazing mid-century recipes. This is just going to be a fantastic show because I am just excited about having Nancy here. I met Nancy on an airplane, and she actually came to visit me in my studio, which I don't know about you, but a lot of times that's kind of rare. You'll meet people and you'll talk to them and you'll tell them, hey, yeah, I'm an artist, and you'll invite them to your studio and you'll invite them to different things, and maybe they will and maybe they won't show up. But Nancy showed up and we have been connected ever since. And I just absolutely love knowing her, watching her. She and I have been on Facebook for a while, and I've had the opportunity to actually watch her and Kevin, just their transitions in life and the different things that they've been doing. And Nancy and Kevin are just starting a brand new adventure, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And they are just the epitome of what this show is about: living out loud, living their life out loud, taking risks, taking chances, taking other directions in their life, which a lot of times people don't do. They don't take other directions or decide to pursue passions. And that's what this show is about. Living out loud is all about being yourself, being who you are unapologetically, and just living your best life. And as I've watched Nancy and Kevin, I have seen them literally live out their life and not really care. And I'm not saying, oh, you don't care about your friends or what they say, but taking, stepping off that step and going for it and not really being concerned about all the other stuff, but just saying, you know what, this is my life. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to go for it. And I'm just going to try out whatever and see how it works out. So I'm not going to prolong talking and all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to bring Nancy and Kevin up because I want them to share about their life and what they do, because they're just amazing people. So I'm going to bring Nancy and Kevin up. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi, Louise. It's nice to see you.
It is always a pleasure having you guys. I am so excited about having you guys on the show and just being here and being a part of what I'm doing, because I think I am so excited and I think it's so amazing what you're doing. I just do. I think it's amazing what you're doing. I feel like you're taking a whole nother step in living, because a lot of times we live our lives with our jobs and family and things like that, and then we never truly live our passions. And I feel like, I was reading your blog and I was like, oh wow, it was just exciting to read. And so who do you have there with you? Because I see you got another little cook guy there.
This is Bentley. He's our head chef. Oops, he just lost his chef's hat.
There's Bentley.
He's a reluctant chef.
He is our 14-year-old Yorkie, and he does everything with us. So
wow. I was going to ask, I was like, because when I read about, when I saw your post, and I was like, I wonder if Bentley's doing any cooking. Maybe at some point we'll have a Bentley's segment on the page. It's like, Bentley likes this dog food, but doesn't like this dog food.
Well,
or this is a great bed for
Bentley. I tell you, he's a very spoiled Yorkie, and
it actually might make a short show. He only likes filet mignon.
That's what I figured. I figured Bentley was definitely on the higher end of pet care.
Yeah, no brown chuck for this dog.
He is definitely living his best life. So.
Well, share with us, because when you and I talked, we were on, we chatted on the phone, and then you began to tell me and share with me about what you were doing. I love the whole mid-century thing that you're doing. I love the fact that you're stepping out and saying, you know what, this is something I've always wanted to do, so I'm going to do it. And I love the fact that Kevin has partnered with you in that, because I know Kevin, I've been watching Kevin take his rides off to work here and there. You post,
Yeah.
Kevin got picked up. I'll never forget that time. You're like, Kevin gets picked up in a limousine and goes off to work. And I said, I want to get picked up in a limousine and go off to work too. But you were always posting different things about Kevin and different things about, what was going on in your life. And then now I feel like I want to hear about Nancy and what's going on in Nancy's life and how you guys have combined. And it's not just what's going on in Nancy's life. Now it's what's going on in your life. Because I just reading the blog, I see that Kevin is a part of that. He was able to find a way to be a part of what you're doing as well. So share with me about this venture that you're on and how it came about.
Okay, well, and it's as much of a surprise to me that Kevin is as involved as he is as well, because that really wasn't initially in my thoughts that he would even be interested. But I was a corporate trainer. I owned my own business and I did contract training. And when COVID hit last year, in-person training went out the window. And I was no longer working. Kevin is an IT consultant and he was working from home. So we thought initially that we would be not working for 2 or 3 weeks. But as that turned into a couple of months, I started to get very bored and restless and anxious, as many people have, and started looking for something more constructive to do. And I decided to sign up for a web design class. And I was going to design a cooking site. And I wanted to do it from start to finish and surprise Kevin with the end result. And I got quite far along. I did design the first iteration of it, but I ran into some technical snags. And when you're married to an IT consultant, naturally you are going to go to him for help. So I think I worked on it for about a month before I went to him and I said, I have something to show you, but I can't get any further with it. And I expected him to go, oh, that's cute. What can I do to help? And I was absolutely stunned when he said he loved it and wanted to be involved.
Oh, wow. So Kevin, were you stunned? It's like, oh, she maybe she's been paying attention to me or something, or maybe she's been picking up little tidbits here and there. So were you like totally surprised at how well she put that together?
Well, sort of yes and no, right? So anything Nancy does, she does wonderfully. And this was no exception. So what surprised me was that, she had positioned it as, I'm just taking some classes here on some web design, which I thought, oh, that's a great use of time. And I was, very happy for her. And then when she asked me to come over and take a look at the initial mock-ups and the iteration that she had done, I was very surprised at just how beautiful it was aesthetically, as well as how well it worked. And I just loved her concept and her idea because we both loved the mid-century modern houses, glasses, cars, and and so it was just really neat to see how she had done it, and then also to be able to apply some of my skills and background and understanding some of the technology challenges that she faced and how to get through those. So it was just another fun adventure with Nancy.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that you guys have combined your talents. I'll say it that way. You've combined your talents to be able to flow so naturally together. But that's kind of how I've seen you guys all along. You know, I'm not saying marriages don't have its ups and downs, but I've always seen Nancy has always been very supportive, from my view, just watching her, of what Kevin, and so it's wonderful to see that, that coming back around. Does that make, understand? It's like where you're actually sharing in the wonders of Nancy. It's not, and so it's beautiful. It's a beautiful combination to see that, and then to see, here Nancy is like, Nancy's probably like, ooh, I put this together. I wonder what Kevin's gonna think. Because it's sort of in his field, it's like.
I was really nervous about that.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, I tried not to be the typical IT guy when she ran into the problem, and basically take over the chair and say, move, and, demean her because her HTML code didn't reference the 404.
Yeah, because I trust me. I work with IT guys all the time, and thank God we have a really nice one now. I mean, our first one was, but now we have a really nice one, and I love him to death. I love him to death. He does everything. It's like, okay, Louise, what do you need done? So I totally understand the IT guy personality. I've dealt with several different IT personalities, and it's wonderful that you're not the other personality. You're probably the other personality at work, but at home you're Kevin. So I love that. But so Nancy, what I was reading is you have been collecting all of these beautiful, because before you even started this blog, before you even started this venture, you had been collecting mid-century and just handwritten recipes, because one of the things that you felt that is you really wish, because you used to cook with your grandmother. Yeah. You spent a lot of time with your grandmother, but you really had wished you had been able to save the recipes from your mom and your grandmother. And right. So share with them what you have been doing since then to kind of recapture that feeling.
Well, as Kevin said, we are both very pulled toward anything mid-century modern, because we are mid-century modern. We're both in our 50s. And so we remember the 60s and 70s, and it was a much simpler time in many ways back then without all of the technology. And one of the pastimes was cooking, and cooking with my grandmother and my aunts, and Kevin, even with his family, who is all from Appalachian, Kentucky. And I really enjoy the down-home cooking, and I wanted to be able to capture our family recipes as well as recipes of other people who have passed away and have these lovely recipe collections that nobody wants. So I started acquiring them at garage sales. People were giving them to me, got them at antique stores, got them off of eBay or Etsy. And there are some lovely, lovely collections of recipes and memories that people have written along with them that I wanted to share on my website. And my niece, Tracy, kept asking me to post our own family recipes and share the handwritten ones wherever it was possible. And so I started scanning them and creating a cookbook for her. And then I thought, why don't I just share this with the world? Why don't I make a website? And I had no skills as far as web design or anything like that under my belt. But in your 50s, a lot of times people, they don't want to learn something new. They think they're too old. And I think it's really important to try new things and challenge yourself. It's much too easy to sit in front of a TV when you're not working and kind of, just while away the hours with nothing to show for it. And so this has been really fun, really creative. something that Kevin and I have been able to do together
Mhm.
while sharing these treasured family recipes with everybody who might want to see them.
Yeah,
That,
I think it's
and
also,
that it's nice that you said that, because it's like people when a lot of times when they retire, I don't even know what retirement is anymore, because people would retire and it's like you said, they sit and just kind of while away the hours, because they never really was able to develop anything else or go into doing anything else, because their whole entire life was their jobs. And then it was like, well, after my job, then what? Oh, okay, I'm supposed to stay at home because this is my retirement. But I feel like today, people are not retiring. They're just transitioning into something new or something that they wanted to do all along. I meet a lot of artists that were bankers or doctors and all of those kind of things. And then all of a sudden, they've always wanted to do art. And I feel like a lot of times transitioning at this age, you are a lot more equipped because you have a lot of times you're financially stable. You have your home already and you have your car already, and so you can venture into these things because you do have some financial stability to be able to do that. And so I find that a lot of people that's our age, because we're in the same age bracket, are transitioning into doing new things. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But I don't want to take up a lot of time just talking, because I know you're going to be doing some cooking, and we're going to talk some more afterwards. So I want to, and unless you have something else to tell people, their website is called Flower Child, and that is FLOUR Child, not the Flower Child. But I want to know, how did you come up with the name?
well, as oftentimes happens, it was a bit of a happy accident. So one of the things that Nancy and I have always enjoyed doing is having giant cooking projects on the weekends. So whether it was making up an entire tray of lasagna, baking up a cake, you name it, right? So we'll do that together. But we also have sort of defined roles. Nancy is the baker, cooker person, and I oftentimes am the cleaner upper. And so, we joke that many times Nancy has as much of the ingredients on her and around the kitchen as in the actual dish itself. And so, so what ended up happening was we had just finished up one of those cooking projects, and it was time to take Bentley here around the block on his daily walk. And Nancy came to the door, as we were getting ready to go. And I looked over at her, and she still had on her sweater that she had been cooking in. And she was, literally had, splotches of flour all over. And I said, okay, come on, Flower Child, let's go. And so she's like, huh, that's a good name. And so she, of course, filed that away. And when she was starting up her blog here, that was one of the things she surreptitiously searched for and purchased to get her started.
Yeah, I was really lucky. The flowerchild.com
Was available.
name was for sale. A bakery was going out of business, and they put it up for sale, and I put in a half price offer, and they took it.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm glad you're able to do that, because I absolutely love the name. Yeah. I mean, I associated it to the fact that you were a flower child.
Absolutely. Yeah.
From the 60s.
It came together.
And so it all kind of comes together because you're doing that whole mid-century thing. So share with us, what will you be cooking today?
Today, we're going to be cooking biscuits and gravy. Mm-hmm. This is a Southern recipe from Kentucky, specifically from Kevin's mother and aunts. Grandmother, and yeah, everybody. When I first married Kevin, I was from Chicago, and Kevin is also from Chicago, but his family is all from Kentucky and was born and they were all born and raised there. and came to Chicago later in life, and then had Kevin. But his mother grew up cooking very Southern style food, and nothing that they cooked was with a recipe. So it was the best tasting food I ever had, but I could not make heads or tails of what she was doing in the kitchen. She would just, shake a little bit here and taste, and it took me many years to figure out several of Kevin's favorite recipes, and put them down on paper as an actual recipe that somebody could follow. So that's what I'm going to be making for you this morning for breakfast. And you are making?
Well, since it is kind of breakfast and brunch, I was looking for a cocktail that would be fun, that folks know, and is relatively easy to mix up, the Bloody Mary. And so this will be a classic Bloody Mary. One of the things that we try to do on the website is to show the classic iteration of a certain recipe, a dish, or a cocktail, knowing that things evolve over time. And so we wanted to be a little period correct too. So I probably won't do a Cosmo, which is a drink of the 90s, more or less. And so this one has a little bit.
That'll be on the next show.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be when our little nieces and nephews talk about what was mid-century to them or late century. So today's Bloody Mary, and there you have it.
Nice. Okay, so we're gonna go over to your cooking screen here. And actually, we're already on your cooking screen. I forgot, you're already on your cooking screen. And we're going to be working with Nancy, and I'm going to pop out, but I did want to show, and I'll show later, because I just love all of the things that you have on your website, and we're going to show some of those later. So I'm going to leave it up to you, Nancy, and then you just share and have a talk.
Okay, thank you. To make biscuits and gravy, you just need a few basic things, and that would be some sausage. I just buy a pound of Jimmy Dean sausage, usually sage flavored, but you can choose whatever flavor you like. You need a cup of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, which is subject to change if you like more or less. An eighth to a quarter teaspoon of paprika, and 4 cups of milk. And to start, and some cooking oil. So to start, you put about a tablespoon or so of cooking oil in your frying pan.
Well, you don't.
And you want to cut open the sausage. And put it into the pan. This is a dish that when people come to stay with us, we live in Los Angeles, in Studio City, California to be exact, and we get a lot of visitors here, people that are from Chicago, where we are originally from, and they come and stay with us, and everybody always requests biscuits and gravy for breakfast. So this is one of those things that I make on a pretty regular basis, although we haven't had company for about a year now. But you just take the pound of pork sausage and you chop it up in your pan, and you let it cook really well, because pork sausage, as I'm sure everybody knows, anything pork needs to be cooked very well to ensure that you don't get sick from it. So I'm going to let this sizzle on the stove for a while. We started our website. It actually went live about September 1st of 2020. And it was our goal to have 100 posts up by the end of the year, and we made it. And so we have at least 100 things to read up there. Not only do we post recipes, but I also post some of the beautiful mid-century dishes that I've collected over the years and that people have given me. And Kevin takes beautiful photographs and writes about them. And we love to share the mid-century silverware, dishes, servingware, and so forth that we have, glasses, yes. Right now, we are on a schedule of, I'm posting roughly 2 food recipes a week, and Kevin posts a cocktail recipe every Friday. At 5 o'clock?
Ish.
5 o'clock somewhere. And so we're keeping up with approximately 3 recipes a week right now. I get my recipes from friends and family, and also from the recipes that I've collected from various stores and online. But my favorite ones are ones that come from people that I know, that send me their family recipe with a story about the person that used to make it. And I like to share that with our readers. One of my favorite recipes to share was a key lime pie recipe from one of our good friends whose family lived in Florida and spent a lot of time in the Keys and made authentic key lime pie. And he told me some really lovely details about that recipe and its origin and his parents. And that is posted on our website in the key lime pie post. I have several cheesecake recipes posted on the website. And if I had to name a superpower that I have, I would say that it is making cheesecakes.
I think I saw one of your cheesecake ones.
I've kind of become locally famous here for making my cheesecakes. Every year at Christmas, I make cheesecakes for my neighbors, and Kevin certainly helps in that task. It is no small task, and we can only make 1 or 2 a day because they are very labor intensive and they require overnight chilling before they are ready to give to somebody. But we put them in a lovely gift box and give them to our friends and neighbors, particularly those from the East Coast that we know love cheesecakes.
I'm sitting here, Nancy, going through, I don't know if you know, but I'm sitting here going through your website. I have your website up on the screen, and I see your New York style cheesecake with shortbread crust. And yes, you definitely have quite a bit. I see your key lime pie as well. Your key lime pie. So I was just scrolling through as you talk. I was scrolling through your website, so everyone can see your website.
Thank you. Yeah, that's our website there, and we have various categories of foods, main dishes, breakfasts, cocktails, appetizers, you name it, and of course desserts. That's everybody's favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to actually have some how-to photos in there. Like for Nancy's cheesecakes, as you can imagine, when you start talking about things like putting them in a water bath, most people may not be familiar with that. So we try to include some photos so that it makes it just that much easier for folks who haven't prepared a dish before to do so.
Yes.
Oh, which one was that, Kevin? I want to click on one of the recipes so people can see. we'll go back to desserts, and then we'll click on one. And you say you have different videos, you have photos on there.
Yeah, I think like for the cheesecake ones, there's a lot of good process shots. The key lime pie is one of those things that was a little bit easier to do. But one of the neat things about the key lime pie recipe is that it does include the original typed recipe that the woman came up with. I think an interesting little factoid about the mid-century, and we see this a lot with recipes from Nancy's mom, is not everybody had dedicated note paper, right?
Oh yeah, I see that.
With
Okay.
whatever paper you could find, usually with a phone cradle in your ear, as a neighbor or a friend was reciting what you'd need. And it's just fun to come across those and see the local businesses and things like that. They're obviously long gone, but see how people just leverage whatever they could find to write something down on.
Mhm. I like the fact that what I really like is right here. This is an easy recipe, but you have photos of the crust ingredients, the pie filling ingredients, and the of all of the. You have photos of all of the different ingredients and what they look like. I really like that.
Yes, and it is our goal. I mean, we are still a relatively new website, but it is our goal this year to also incorporate video into some of the more complicated recipes, so that you can see at a glance on a speeded up video how to make something. And I know a lot of recipes that you search for on the internet include that, and that is something that we will be doing this year as well.
Oh, that's nice. Well, this is really nicely done. I absolutely love your website, and I love how you guys put it together. I love how you put it together, and in the different ways that you are trying to just be clear and clarifying what you do. I really, really like that. So let's see where Nancy is right now.
Okay.
So what you're seeing right now is the brown sausage, right?
Yeah, this is the sausage. It is well browned, and it is sizzling in here. So you want to be able to see those little brown bits, and it looks like it's ready for the next step. So at this point, we're going to add a third cup of flour. And we're just going to stir that in, and it will absorb the vegetable oil that is in the bottom of the pan. And the flour, you need to stir it in and cook it for a few minutes until it takes on the brownish color of the sausage. And it will also, as it's cooking, absorb the flavor of the sausage. If you add the milk too soon, your gravy is going to taste like flour, and that's not a pleasant thing. So you want to let this cook for a few minutes and let it absorb the cooking oil that's in there and absorb the flavor from the breakfast sausage that you're using. And the sausage is going to be drier looking now because the flour has absorbed the liquid. Now you can make homemade biscuits, and we do have a recipe on our website for homemade biscuits. But to make it fast and easy, you can also just buy a roll of Pillsbury Grands and heat those up in the oven. Kevin likes the ones that are called flaky layers, and we have them here. And we just heated up a few biscuits before we started this morning. And they just take about 13 minutes in the oven, and they come out absolutely beautiful. And it makes making this dish fast and easy. So now that this has browned up and the flour is fully absorbed and bubbling, we're going to add our milk. And you add 4 cups of milk. So this is a 4-cup measuring cup.
So you add it slowly.
So we add it slowly and stir. The flour that is in here is going to thicken this milk as it cooks.
See, I always thought it was in gravy, it's just biscuits and gravy, but this has actual meat in it.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the fun things about the way that Nancy makes it is she does use, a fairly good amount of sausage. Growing up, we didn't get this much sausage in our sausage gravy, and it was definitely a hunt for the sausage. So I've always appreciated how Nancy does that, because it really does, I know they always refer to this sort of food as sort of stick to your ribs food, and it definitely is and does.
Well, and a funny story about that too, as we stir the milk and allow this to thicken, which will take maybe 5 minutes or so. And that is that after we were married a while and I had learned how to make biscuits and gravy, I had invited Kevin's parents over for breakfast and his brother, and I was going to show off that I could make this for breakfast. And I made the biscuits and gravy, and I made it with a full pound of pork sausage. But Kevin's mother, having been raised in a very rural area of Kentucky where they had to stretch their food, never used a full pound of pork sausage. She only used maybe a 1/4 pound of pork sausage, and the rest of it was just plain gravy. And even though later in life they could well afford to use a pound of sausage, it was just ingrained in her. It was a habit, and that's how she made it. But Kevin liked more sausage in it. Well, I went to serve the biscuits and gravy, and Kevin's brother started raving about it and saying, "Look, Mom, you don't have to hunt for the sausage." And
Yeah,
she got really mad, and it didn't ingratiate me to her at all. She was never happy that her baby got married in the first place, and that didn't help matters.
So when you said, "Gosh, Mom, hers is better than yours."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good. It doesn't win you points.
No, out cookie mom will not get you points.
No. So, so this is heating up. I turn the heat up to a medium-high heat and just continually stirring. Now to season this, I put in salt, pepper, and paprika. The paprika is optional. I do like the sausage gravy to be a little bit peppery. In place of paprika, you can also use a hot sauce. Kevin has one that he is going to be using for Bloody Mary, and this would work as well. But you don't have to make it real peppery if you don't want to. So at this point, I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And you can see it starting to bubble and thicken. And I have a little bit of paprika here. Like I said earlier, 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon gives it a little bit of a peppery flavor. And it is starting to thicken. And all it needs now to do is to cook down for a couple of minutes, and it will be ready to serve. This is one of those stick to your ribs breakfasts that if you have it in the morning, you probably are going to skip lunch, because this is going to fill you up for the whole day. In fact,
Oh,
one of
yeah.
my minor
That looks really good. My son likes biscuits and gravy, and something tells me he would love your biscuits and gravy because the one he gets does not have the meat in it.
Yeah, for sure. This was one that they used to serve in my family before they would get ready to go head out to the logging fields, as well as for those that would go into the mines. So that this way they wouldn't get fed again until like they got their lunch break, if they got such a thing. So.
Well, I told Nancy, I said, the only sad part about this particular show with watching you all cook is I don't get to sample any of it. Normally, when somebody doing your show cooking, you get to sample it. So I'll have to come out there and sample it.
At some point, I would love to do cooking lessons online. Maybe that's something that we could do live from our website, and we will also be exploring that option this year as well. I've gotten several requests to host a cheesecake cooking class.
Oh, I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, that would be fun. So I want to do that. A short aside, we live in Studio City, and one of our neighbors is George Wendt. Cheers fame.
Oh, okay.
He played Norm on Cheers. And,
I love Norm.
we don't see him very often. He's rather secluded, but this Christmas I decided to bring over a cheesecake, and I knocked on the door, and he answered, and I said, "Merry Christmas. I bake cheesecakes, and I've made one for you this year, your family, to enjoy for Christmas." And he looks at me and Kevin, and he was looking at us, and he said, "Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Who are you?" And we said, "Well, we're your neighbors, 3 doors down." And he had a moment of recognition. He said, "Oh, you're Bentley's parents." So Bentley is more famous in the neighborhood than we are, but yes.
Dog people, see? Bentley has his own following.
So the gravy is ready now. It's nice and thick, as you can see, I hope. So we're just going to take a plate of biscuits, and we're going to ladle this over the top. And there,
That looks
a lovely Southern style. Where's the camera there? Breakfast.
That looks phenomenal. I absolutely love that.
I wish I could give you a bite.
I know. I'm like, I'm feeling all robbed here. That looks absolutely delicious. And it's like, that was beautifully done. Beautifully done. Here, let me move that one out of the screen. That was beautifully done. And Kevin is going to do some mixology for us. I saw it on your site, mixology. Kevin's going to mix up some stuff for us. But Nancy, that was absolutely phenomenal.
It only took 15 minutes for us to cook up, so you can see it's quick and easy. A lot of people are intimidated by making recipes, but you just jump in, and it really is, once you get into it, much easier than you think.
And this is one that they can find on your website.
Yes.
Okay,
It's
so
biscuits and gravy,
okay.
I think.
So I have the flour child. I have the website rolling down and pointing here. So you guys can see the website, flourchild.com. It's at the bottom. It's just scrolling. I'm just gonna leave that up so people can see your website scroll by. Yeah. Diana said yes, cheesecake cooking class. She said it is so very Midwest of you. Haha. Delivering cheesecake to neighbors.
Thank you. And I think Kevin is ready to whip up the Bloody
All
Mary.
right, we're gonna bring Kevin up. All right, Kevin, we'll bring Kevin onto the screen. And Nancy will bring Nancy down so we could see what Kevin's doing. All right, Kevin, you're going to make Kevin, I think your sound is off. I can't hear you. Let's get Kevin's sound on.
Okay, Louise, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I'm going to give you the full screen and let you go. All right.
Okay, so here we go. So today is going to be a classic Bloody Mary. And like I say, there are many variations on this cocktail recipe. It has an interesting history. So like a lot of classic cocktails, no one's really quite certain where it came from or where it started. But everyone can agree that it seems like around the turn of the 1900s that it started to gain some popularity. It was known as a drink for sort of what they refer to as the hair of the dog or a hangover cure. Simply because the cocktail juice or the tomato juice was supposed to be refreshing, and the alcohol was supposed to make your hangover taste better or feel better, and the salt replaced your electrolytes in your system. So I'm not sure if any of that is actually accurate or not, but it's a good story. And supposedly at the Club 21 in New York, where this drink got its start. And it was first written about for the comedian George Jessel was spotted having several of these as he started his day. So without further ado, let's get into it. So basically, the star of this one is going to be vodka. I like a vodka that is not potato based. So for those of you that are Tito's fans, feel free to use what you like. But I simply prefer something non-Tito's based. The potato, I think, gives it a different flavor. So I'm going to use a lemon that I'm going to cut into wedges, and I'm going to use a little bit of lemon juice, and I'm also going to use this when I garnish it. And also, if you've read what we post, you'll usually know that there is a lemon tree behind us that grows these things like crazy. And so I always try to come up with something to leverage the lemons. So there we go, a nice classic lemon wedge. And so we are going to go for about a teaspoon or so of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And I'm going to try not to get that in my eyes. And there we have it. Could you turn the volume down on your phone? The volume down on your phone. Okay, so now having done that, I'm going to use a 1.5 ounces of vodka, or as they have conveniently created, this is a bar measuring device, a jigger, and so it's 1.5 ounces. Makes it a little bit easier. Pour that right in our glass. And now we're going to add the tomato juice, about 4 ounces or so, 4 to 6. A couple of dashes of Worcestershire. Nobody knows how to say it, but it's good stuff.
This is true.
And then the secret ingredient is some very good hot sauce. You can use Tabasco. I happen to prefer this brand. 5 drops of that. And then half a teaspoon of salt. I prefer the kosher salt. Dump that right in there. Then a pinch of black pepper. And so I'm using, I'm measuring like my mother and my grandmother did. They pour it out in their hand and say this much, which is what drove Nancy crazy for years, because that is not exactly a scientific or repeatable measuring process. And then some celery salt for all my Chicago peeps out there. There is another use for this other than making Chicago style hot dogs, it turns out. After that. And then some ice cubes. There we go. And then my bar spoon. This was actually Nancy's dad's bar spoon. And so we were fortunate enough to be given this by her mother. And I always use it in my drinks when I mix them up. So stir to get all those ingredients in there nicely mixed. You never want to take that first sip of your Bloody Mary and have it be all vodka or no vodka. So you definitely want to have that. Then some celery to kind of give it some flavor. And then you can garnish it accordingly. I happen to use bar olives and a nice sticker for my olives, my lemon wedge, another olive. Now I've seen a lot of cocktails that get built up these days with bacon and you know, you name it on top of it, but this is a classic Bloody Mary, and I'm going to give it just a tiny sip because I do have client calls later this morning. And there we go. Nothing to it.
All right, let's see.
Very nice. Very nice. I absolutely love that. I love that. Let's sit those. Let's have a look at that one. Let's get Nancy, you guys back in here. Nancy's
Okay.
like, this is my nice classic Bloody Mary. Is that?
Cheers.
That is, thank you so much, Kevin. That was, I just love watching you make that and watching you guys create these amazing dishes and the different things that you guys have created. I'm trying to take out that last one, but I keep, oh, there it is. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to, but they all look alike because it's your kitchen. So I'm like, which one am I taking out? That is, I loved that. I loved how you did the Bloody Mary. I loved how you made the biscuits and gravy. And my parents were the same way. I come from a family where it was a pinch of this and a pinch of that, and absolutely nothing was written down. It was absolutely nothing written down. I have a, we have another comment from TNT. It says, that was so easy to make. It looks absolutely delicious. And this is for you, Nancy. I feel that she said they feel the need to go and make something now to curb that craving. So we got, the other one was when Kevin mentioned Chicago, it says hot dogs. And Karen Clark says I love Bloody Marys. And then we have another comment that said, you both make it all look so easy. Thank you. Do more live cooking shows. So there you have it. The audience has spoken. So you got quite a few comments about your cooking. And Kevin, I just wanted to touch on, because you, one of the things that you say on the blog is that your cocktails are on the style of the Rat Pack cocktails era. And, you know, I was a big fan of the Rat Pack. So share a little bit about that. I think let's see. I think you guys switched over your volumes. So let's see. Yeah, I think you might have switched over your mute button. So you're muted on that mic. Or we can always scoot the chairs over to the other mic where Kevin was.
How's that?
Is that better?
That's better. Yeah. So I know that's live.
This is a funny story.
Yeah, this is one of those, don't do this at home, kids. So when Nancy and I were first married, we realized that a lot of the legends wouldn't be around forever. And so we ended up taking our rent money and buying tickets to the Rat Pack show. So Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy had gotten back together to do a series of shows, and the first opening night of the act was at the old Chicago Theater on State Street in Chicago. So we were irresponsible, took our rent money, bought tickets to that show. It was an amazing show. As you can imagine, all the banter, some cocktails were consumed on stage, and it was great fun. But unfortunately, Frank and Dean got into a bit of a tiff that night, and Dean walked out and never came back. And so we got to see the one-night reunion of the Rat Pack. And
Oh, wow.
I don't know how we scrambled to pay the rent.
That's the last time Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. were ever on stage live together again.
Wow.
Again. So we got to see that show.
So we've always had a special place in our heart for the Rat Pack. And when you see those old video clips with them on stage having so much fun, once again, it was that exuberance of the 50s and 60s, that anything's possible kind of spirit. And so when Nancy was doing this website, and I was looking for a space to also create, she suggested, well, why don't you do cocktails like the kind that you like to mix up when we have company over? And so that's what started me down this path. Luckily, we have some really nice bartender friends who school me on how to make some of these quickly, efficiently, and what ingredients to use. Even a couple of secret tips about orange bitters and things like that. So it's just been so much fun to do this and to share it out with other people.
Well, I find it's a wonderful addition actually to what Nancy is doing. It's such a great compliment to what she's doing. And
thank you so much.
Because a lot of times people are afraid to add. Like my biggest drink is a Shirley Temple. That's his alcohol. And there's no alcohol in that. And so, but I do enjoy. People always get on me because you cannot drink out of a can in my house, and you can't drink. You can't drink any kind of beer out of a can. You can't drink out of plastic cups. So I have all the glasses and all the cups, all the glassware. And my husband always gets on me and he says, Louise, you don't even drink. I said, yes, but if somebody's going to drink in this house, they're going to drink properly. I'm not going to have people just drinking out of plastic cups in my home. And so, so I really love that part of it, because to me, there's an art to it. And I know a lot of times people, especially if they don't drink, they don't understand the art. And I do. It's like I know which wines go with what food, even though I don't drink them. I understand them, and that's something I've always wanted to do. It's like, because to me, it's not just drinking. There's an art to it, and that's what I see there. It's such a beautiful art to watch you do those things, because you don't just do it. It's like, oh, I'm going to make a drink. You actually create a drink. Does that make sense?
Many of the blended drinks, and Kevin is going to be featuring tiki drinks coming up in next month, I believe.
Yeah, like in February, so all my Chicago friends can be really jealous when they think of the warm weather.
they can all be made without alcohol too.
Yeah.
Okay. So just send those to me, Kevin. Just send me.
I will. I'll give you a special shout out when I do that. There will be a number of drinks coming up that can be made. There's also some neat no alcohol mixers that are hitting the market now too, because they recognize that's a big segment.
Yeah.
And one last little factoid. So Nancy has in the bartending circles, relatively famous great grandfather who was one of the original, well-known celebrity bartenders, who probably had a hand in inventing the classic cocktail, the old fashioned. Interesting guy. He's written a book. I sometimes refer to it. You'll sometimes see screenshots of his recipes and mixes, but he didn't drink. He did it all by smell. So he could tell anything about a wine, where it came from, its age, anything about spirits. He did it all via smell. He didn't drink.
Wow. That's amazing. I love to hear that kind of stuff, because, I have friends that are like, Louise, you don't drink. It's like, but I do appreciate the art of it.
Right.
And that's just it. But I know, Kevin, I know you have to go. So I want to thank you guys, because this was a fantastic show. And I would love for you guys to come on anytime. You just be like, Louise, I got something new. And just have you come back and share with my audience just the beautiful stuff that you do. The beautiful.
Well, thank you, Louise. And you know, you live in Fort Collins, Colorado, my family's hometown. My sister's there, my niece is nearby, and we would love to see you in person next month as well. So fingers crossed.
Come to my house and cook and make mixed drinks.
Well, now that I know you have glasses, I'll be
right. I have glasses. My husband would love it. He'd be like, "Oh, yes, have them over."
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Louise.
Well, thank you guys. And like I said, would love to have you back on the show. So thanks a lot for coming in. Thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in. They were like, great show. Diana said, thank you, Kevin. You really enjoyed, just lots of people just really enjoyed the show. And I love putting the post up so everybody, you can see what they're saying. So thank you guys. And you can always share this show with your friends later. So bye-bye.
We'll see
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you guys for tuning in. That was so awesome. I enjoyed Kevin and Nancy. We don't get to talk a lot and we don't get to talk often, but like I said, I always enjoy watching their Facebook feeds and seeing what they're doing. And now I'm definitely going to be tuning in to Flower Child, their website, and I would definitely suggest you tune into their website because they're going to have so many new things. I mean, 100 posts. They had planned themselves 100 posts, and that's exactly what they did. They created 100 posts in a year. That is a lot of posts. That's a lot of posts. And so I just, they did a fantastic job watching Nancy make biscuits and gravy, because I've always known biscuits and gravy without meat. So that was fantastic to watch that. If you're interested in her recipes, go to Flower Child. She has so many things on her website listed. I'm just going to show a few pictures of some of the things that are on her website. She has quiches and homemade biscuits, different kinds of breads. She has I think it's some chili, and of course, Kevin has all kinds of mixed drinks on there. So if you're interested in some really fun mixed drinks, I love this particular page because it's all categorized, which is awesome. Absolutely amazing. You can go there and you can just pick different categories. And like she said, and I am a huge fan of vintage dishes, vintage lace, vintage teapots, vintage everything. And so she has some beautiful, beautiful dishes that she's posted on there, and plates and cups and things like that. I'm so hungry right now. Christine, you're hungry. I know. So am I. I'm going to have to go down and get me something to eat, but I don't think it'll be as good as those biscuits and gravy that I just saw her make. So, but like I said, you can find Flower Child. Also, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and look up Flower Child on Facebook. It's FLOUR Child, and you can find her on Facebook as well, and like her Facebook page. Follow her. Like I said, I enjoyed Nancy and Kevin. I think they're absolutely phenomenal. I love what they're doing, going out and pursuing something so amazing as starting their own cooking website and doing the cooking. And I thought it was beautiful that Nancy goes out and she finds these amazing recipes. So I just want to thank you guys for being here today, being a part of the show. If you have a fantastic story, you just started a new career, or you're just veering off to an absolutely phenomenal hobby, let me know. Send me a message in my inbox at Louise Cutler Studios, or if you're on Living Out Loud, if you're a part of the Living Out Loud group, go ahead and send me a message. I would love to have you on my show. This show is your show. It's all about what you're doing and all of those kind of things. So definitely send me a message and let me know, and say, hey, Louise, this is some of the things I'm doing. Would love to share it. Let me know. And I would love, love, love to have you on this show. So until next time, remember, if you're on my YouTube channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. We love, love, love people. So until next time. Bye.